Really long way for me to make a thruster go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are underway. Heat number 2, event number 1 at the Syndicate Crown North America East semifinals. I'm Adrian Conway, and I'm joined here by legend Scott Panchik. Welcome to the kickoff show, folks. We are merely but an appetizer to the main course that'll take place on Saturday and Sunday, but we want to be the eyes and the ears, essentially, to people that are watching at home. These athletes are out right now on an 800-meter run, Scott. The workout that they are diving into is an 800-meter run, 10 clean and jerks at 125 pounds. They're going to do this 5 rounds for time. What are your initial thoughts on this test that awaits them?
No, it's going to hurt. It's got to hurt if you want to do well.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point that aligns directly with my co-ruck steps to success, man, honestly. Because you're like, hey, this is going to hurt, but not only is it going to hurt, but it's also got to hurt at the right time, right?
Yep.
And so my first point in step to success is that you've got to pace, not race. And I mean that more so early on, where you've got to really be aware of your own potential and own capacity, particularly with the running. It's so easy to get lulled out into someone else's pace, and then you get caught in what we categorize as a deficit, man, or you hit what we notoriously coin as the red line. That's a dangerous place to be.
You don't want to be there.
The last point that I have in the second point is mechanics matter. And the reason that I highlighted this, Scott, is because, you know, these athletes are elite in capacity, but even though 125 might not be heavy for them, they got to do it 50 times. And every little bit of mechanical failure or inefficiency bleeds out the energy for the next rep or the next run.
Yeah, and you look at something like a clean and jerk, it's just full body. I mean, you think about, we have a benchmark, Grace, it's 30 clean and jerks at 135 for the men, 95 for the women.
Yep.
And these guys are doing 50 clean and jerks.
50 at 125 pounds for the women. Yeah. We ain't even talking about what the men are doing. They're going to do 185 here in a little bit.
Right.
But it's 125 pounds for the women. And it's absolutely amazing at the display of fitness and capacity that we've seen develop through the course and development of our sport in general. But man, this heat is absolutely stacked. We are literally 2 minutes and 30 seconds into this, and we've got a lineup of Shelby Neal, Mary Helen Sanders, Callista Lang, Amanda Barnhart, Lexi Neely, Fee Sagafi, Elena Savage, Caroline Prevost, Erica Folo, Emma Lawson, Alexis Raptis, Danielle Brandon, Haley Adams, Tia Claire Toomey, Annika Greer, Paige Semenza, Chloe Gavon David, Caroline Stanley, Caitlin Sanders, and Elizabeth Wishart. They're getting ready to make their way into the stadium, and here we've got it. Athletes already making moves. Tia Claire Toomey amongst them, going to be one of her first back to the barbell. Haley Adams following very closely. It's going to be Tia with her hands on the barbell at 311 first, choosing to go singles out the gate. Haley immediately to her left, executing her first rep at about the 315 mark. These women are only reps apart from one another. Scott, it is a long race. Danielle Brandon, hands on the bar. Elena Savage was the third to her barbell. Wow. Hey man, if this is any kind of precursor to what kind of race we have in store, it's gonna be a barn burner.
They were cooking coming in that door, I'll tell you what.
Cooking at an exceptional pace, as we saw Brooke Wells start similar pace to this and then steady kind of settle into a smoother pace, if we will. Tia Claire Toomey out the door at 3:49. She finished her last clean and jerk.
Now this is what's tough about
Haley Adams, 3:56 finished hers, so she's about a 7-second delay. Elena Savage out the door, 4 minutes. About 4 seconds behind Haley. Tell me what you were gonna say.
This is what's tough about being in the final heat here is everybody's moving and you got to know your pace.
That's right.
And you really got to look at your heart rate. I think that's the biggest thing is when that heart rate starts to get away from you in a 20+ minute workout, you got to figure out a way to reel it in, whether it's slowing down the clean and jerks or slowing down the run. Something's got to come down a little bit.
Something's always got to give as we watch Amanda Barnhart going to be one of the final athletes out on this round. Now, is this a red flag for Amanda? To me, it's absolutely not. right?
No.
This is a long workout, folks. If you're on the fast side of this thing, you're talking 22, 23 minutes deep anyway. So if you look at this and you're like, yeah, I'm really killing it, I won the first 3.5 minutes of the workout, you might be in a bad spot, man. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, think about it. Let's just say it was a 5K, right? And we're, 4 minutes in, 5 minutes in? Like, we got a long way to go.
We got a terribly long way to go, but here's the unique thing, and we've talked about this a little bit, Scott, is that there's a psychological component of competing that lends itself very well to people who are even-keeled, right? If you get too high too early because you're like, yeah, I'm winning, well, that's great, but this is a 5-round workout, friend. Like, don't try to win that. So if you're willing to win early, you've got to have the perseverance to continue to have the lead. Equally, if you find yourself as one of the last to exit the stadium, like we just saw from Amanda Barnhart, an experienced CrossFit Games athlete, you've got to have the understanding for, did I pace this just right, and how will this lead to my success in rounds 3, 4, and 5?
Right, and the other thing you have to think about too is your overall capacity. Where is this workout in comparison to all the other things that you got to do this weekend, right? You got to be able to stay in your lane, know your paces, because if you overexert yourself and you're trying to run a pace that you're not capable of doing, it can not only be detrimental to this workout, but also the rest of the weekend.
Absolutely, and I think that it's easy to watch what these athletes do and be like, cool, one event at a time. You mentioned it already. Hey, we're going to maximize the amount of points that we can accumulate in every one event. We can't necessarily save ourselves,
right?
But there is this unique skill that you've been really great at executing throughout your career, and there's an element of preservation throughout the course of a long weekend, man.
Yeah.
It's like 4 days, 5 days. You get to the CrossFit Games, man. It's a whole, sometimes it's a week long.
Yeah.
Right? How have you navigated that in your years?
You have to think of it as a full weekend of events and how every event can play into the next event. So if you're doing things that maybe you didn't necessarily do in training, you're going to come into the next event and you're going to feel different than you did in training. I mean, you're already going to feel different because the intensity's through the roof, but you got to think a little bit about the weekend as a whole.
There's no doubt about it. As you hear the crowd completely erupt for Tia-Clair Toomey entering the stadium at about 7:05, she's going to be first with her hands on the bar, closely followed by Haley Adams, and it looks like Elena Savage is right there nipping at their heels. We've got Tia-Clair Toomey hands on at 7:20 with her clean and jerk, still choosing to go singles. Haley Adams hands on the bar, 7:24, almost moving in unison as if this is synchro clean and jerks. Elena Savage in lane 14, bottom of your screen, 7:32, hands-on, executing rep number 1. We've got Emma Lawson entering the stadium, closely followed by Danielle Brandon, Alexis Raptis. It looks like Caroline Prevost also there nipping at her heels. But it will be lane number 3, Caroline Stanley with her hands on the bar first from that pack. And again, this is the misleading thing, Scott, with this setup, where it's like we watch people enter the stadium, we're like, oh, okay, first, second, third. But no, you got to get your hands on the bar and start to lift because your spot is a little bit further than the rest. Tia is out the door and literally exiting the stadium at about 8:10. Haley Adams not far behind, exiting at about 8:16 with a 6-second buffer. Elena Savage still with 2 reps left, who followed pretty closely to Haley Adams to come in to start this round of clean and jerks. And it looks like she's going to be about 15 seconds behind her to the exit, as it's about 8:32 for Elena Savage on the exit of the bar of the stadium. Emma Lawson exiting right about 8:39. And then we got Alexis Raptis, we got Erica Folo, Danielle Brandon on her way out. Wow, Paige Semenza closely following Danielle Brandon. What a race we are in for. Now, Scott, as we watch some of these ladies continue to navigate these clean and jerks, and again, we're already seeing this. So Amanda Barnhart was last out, okay? Now, she's already now passed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's already passed 5, potentially 6 women in one round of just a run and clean and jerk. Now, let's say she keeps her pace and the rest get a little faulty. Fisagafi just exited just ahead of Amanda Barnhart. That helps me understand, like, okay, she paced it very well to start, and she understands that she's going to build into this. I got to share, I was at the CrossFit Games as an individual only one time, 2015. It was the first year that we did Murph. My other 3 appearances were on a team. We had some success. That was awesome. But individually, man, we did Murph, and it was 2015. It was hot.
Oh, so hot.
As a mother, okay? And a lot of people struggle with the heat and all this, right? That was my best finish that year, actually. I got 7th on Murph. I was a bigger dude back then compared to the rest of the guys, so I was pretty proud of that. But what, I kid you not, I think I was 36th on the first mile.
I'm telling you, anytime I've seen anybody do well in Murph, it's not always the first person.
It's very rare, right? It's very rare. Now, I remember a couple guys. Yeah, there were a few guys. I think Noah Olson, Matt Frazier, BKG. There were some guys that just had the lead and like they just kept it and ran with it.
Yeah.
Like there was no walking those guys down. But the vast majority of the field, they had that adrenaline dump, a lot like what these athletes had when it was 3, 2, 1, go beep, right? Once that beep hits, they're out the gusto with like all the adrenaline, all the emotion, especially because it's event 1.
Yeah.
It's so uniquely placed early that this event tests your stamina, endurance, and pacing, yes, but because the long event is early, doesn't that also even test your endurance for the rest of the weekend?
For sure, because like I said, this workout can ruin you for the weekend if you don't respect it. I think each workout deserves respect in so many ways, and it can be very detrimental to the rest of your weekend if you are getting outside your comfort zone, I guess, in a sense of knowing your pacing, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that just, man, yeah. Again, we can't harp on it enough. Right now, these athletes are out on this 800-meter run, though, and now you're in the thick of it. Is there any psychological play for you, right? So the women are running. They're eyeing their fellow competitors. They're seeing someone within the striking distance, just like we're seeing right here with Tia Claire Toomey and Haley Adams entering the stadium together. Now, Haley knows she's got just a touch further to go than Tia every rep. So for her to stay just on her outside shoulder is a great striking distance for her, especially as we gear up for these last couple runs. Tia hands-on at 11:43, Haley right with her at 11:44.
Yeah, and Haley, has got to be thinking a little bit about like how quickly is Tia moving through this barbell, right? How quickly is she getting out the door? Is it 5 seconds, 10 seconds, where she's got to close that gap, into that last round if she wants to win this workout?
And that's we're now having this elevated level of conversation about competition, right? Where it's like a lot of folks watching this and they're like, hey, if I'm going to do this at my affiliate, well, I'm going to really run fast and I'm going to clean and jerk fast, and that's about as simple as it gets. For these athletes, from a competitive nature, Haley's watching Tia and Tia's watching Haley. They feel each other the whole time. What can she do? Will she touch and go on the last bar? Can I beat her in a sprint if I need to? Yep. All of these things are things that you have to consider entering the latter part of this workout, because they're going to be competing essentially for a 3-point lead over one another.
Right, and as she goes out that door, there was a moment where Haley got her in her sights, and you have like landmarks kind of along the route that you're like, okay, I got to catch up to her by this spot if I want to come in the door.
That's right.
And have a chance.
That's right. So again, another level, right? Landmarking the distances at which you need to make your move. So in our minds, from our comfy spectator seats that we've got up here at the Syndicate Crown, we can assume that Tia has a distance marked where she's like, hey, I need to create separation between Haley and I at this point. Equally, Haley's like, yo, I need to be within striking distance at this point of the run, or I'll have no chance to pass her in the latter rounds.
Well, what you really want to think about is how can you take the will to win away?
Right.
There's a moment, and it's usually the 4th round. It's that hardest round of every workout. And in a 5-round workout, it is the 4th round where you take someone's will away. And when you pass someone, you pass them with authority.
And this is the one right here, Scott. A lot of these women have now exited for their 4th round, okay? And so as this takes place, this is the grind of that moment that we talked about a little bit in the last heat where, okay, hey, when it's the last round of a workout, everybody tuning in understands there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. It's almost a sense of relief. But this is the round that separates the champions. In this instance, man, it's the ones that are going to go to the CrossFit Games, the ones that are going to stay at home all summer.
Yeah. In round 4, you're passing someone with authority, and they're going to make a decision. They're either going to respond and run with you, or they're going to turn around and see who they got to hold off.
Still got some ladies chipping away at their clean and jerks. Annika Greer, one of them. as she's making her way out. Now, this is one of those aspects of Annika's fitness that she's looked to have growth in, Scott. She's looked to build her aerobic base, to be able to improve her ability to go far. Even from a teen games competitor, we knew that she had strength. We knew that she could learn skills. We knew that she could execute things within a demand perspective when it comes to just kind of showing what you can do. But it's about, like, and you'll recognize this, it's about blending it together.
Yeah.
That's what makes you great in our sport.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think a lot of the times spectators look at athletes and they're like, well, if they would just fix this, you know, they'd go to the CrossFit Games, or they, you know, get on the podium, or they would win. And it's like, they know that. Yep. They're working very hard to get better at whatever it is.
Whatever it is. Speaking of getting better at whatever it is, we have got a lot of athletes always trying to get stronger. And we have got athletes constantly working at their strength. We get a shot at Paige Simmons, and now this isn't a clean and jerk event, but clearly she's working on refining mechanics so that she can move heavier loads, so that she can do it more efficiently. And what a great shot at some of the women in our sport mastering the barbell so that their fitness can continue to rise. As we've got Tia-Clair Toomey entering just a little bit further ahead of Haley than she was on the last round. Now, go ahead.
She knows she's got to get out that door before her.
That's right.
You know, she's like, I gotta make up some ground here on the barbell, and I gotta get out this door fast. And Haley's thinking, I gotta get out the door the same time as her, and I got a shot.
Haley Adams, an athlete who sat out last year. We are watching her return. Took some personal time of leave from competition. She is back. She is fired up to compete. She's having fun, and she's doing it at an extremely high level. Tia-Clair Toomey started her journey into motherhood this past year. She has returned with an amazing amount of momentum. Look at her handle this weight like it's absolutely an afterthought. And now she's out the door to showcase her fitness in the form of a run. Created just a touch of separation between her and Haley. This is going to be huge for Tia going into the final run.
Yeah, that was a little more separation there. Now here's the thing. Haley's taking a little bit of time off, and I wouldn't be surprised if she really is excited to hurt on this last 800.
There's no doubt about it. She's going to be extremely excited to hurt on this last one. But Haley and Tia-Clair Toomey are already out the gate. Emma Lawson just getting her hands on the barbell at about 17-15. That just shows you, Scott, how fast these two leaders are ripping and running this particular event. Yeah. Danielle Brandon now to work as well.
I always compare it to a 5-minute mile, right? The last 10, 15 seconds, you got to work so hard to close that gap.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is like how much of an advantage have they already created? Have they now, like the rest of this pack ain't touching them, and they know it. Right? So now they're looking at each other, eye to eye, rubbing shoulder to shoulder, and they're like, okay, let's see who can get third.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. Emma Lawson made quick work of that barbell, and she's out the gate. She's out the door. Fisa Goffi now she's going to make one more turn, and she'll be back at her bar, as well as Caroline Prevost, everybody's favorite teacher, making her way to the bar. Erica Folo making great pace here and out the door herself. Danielle Brandon shortly behind her. Alexis Raptis finishing her clean and jerk reps. This is it. This is when you've got to dig deep. This is when you've got to think, am I here to compete, or am I here to go to the CrossFit Games? And you've got to have that honest conversation with yourself. Some people are going to turn it down, Scott. Like they're going to be like, oh, I don't have what it takes, right? Like,
how bad do you really want it?
And the doubts creep in, right? Like it's a very real thing, and it's totally normal.
Yeah, 100%. You're talking to yourself, and you got to keep putting the positive thoughts. And you're going to get clumped in with somebody here coming through the finish line, right? And you're trying to figure out, are they a better runner, or are they going to go some touch and go repetitions here on this barbell?
That's right. Fisa Goffi, 2 reps to go, 1 rep to go for Fee, and she's going to be out the door. Amanda Barnhart putting on a great example of pacing. She continues to pass athletes, but Fee said, not me, and she's out the door just a little ahead of her.
They've been running out the door pretty close to one another the last couple rounds.
It's true. And Fisa Goffi, someone you're very familiar with, Scott. What's your relationship like with Fee?
So Fee started her whole CrossFit journey at our gym. I got to see her do her first workout, first competition, first open, and to watch her come out of college and start CrossFit and then make it to the CrossFit Games is truly, really special.
Shelby Neal making her way out of the gym. Now, when Fee started, was it just like, yo, this girl is special? Or were you like, she got some work to do. Let's catch her up to speed.
She had some work to do.
Yeah.
She wasn't someone that came in and said, I want to go to the CrossFit Games. It wasn't like the goal she set. We set achievable goals for her throughout her whole career, and we really talked about each one of them. And you got to chip away. You can't go to the CrossFit Games before you do a local competition.
That's right. And there's levels to this. And we're seeing that even as we watch greatness enter the competition floor once again. Tia Claire Toomey, with Haley Adams not far behind, she's going to have about a 3 to 4 second buffer. But we know that Tia's got the capacity to go touch and go if she chooses to here. She sets, shoulder overhead, and yes, it's going down. She has got 9 reps to go, and these are gonna go all down, touch and go. This is enough to create the separation regardless of what Haley chooses to do, but it looks like it's gonna be singles for her out the gate.
See, what's interesting to me is she could do 5 touch and go and then do 5 singles. Preserve that grip, but this is dominance in the sport.
This is it. This is dominance in the sport. This is the return of Tia Claire Toomey at 20:56 with a hand raised to the crowd. She said, I gave you the East for a year, and now I'm back, and it's mine, and I'm here to show it. Haley Adams finishing up. She's only got a few reps to go. Now, Emma Lawson was the closest athlete at the time as they put their hands on these bars and exited on the last round. Haley Adams with the return, 1 rep to go, nipping at the heels of the fittest woman in history. It's Haley Adams with a second place, and she gives the crowd 2 hands and is certainly back. Emma Lawson now enters the stadium. With no one in sight after this, and she just looks and gets to see Haley and Tia both have finally, she literally smiles at him, man. She gave him a smile.
Here comes Danielle. Now here's the question, is touch and go or singles?
Well, I'm going to tell you, this gym's going to get populated real fast.
Hey, there we go.
Emma Lawson with touch and go, bottom right, lane 11. Danielle Brandon, hands on the bar, sees the touch and go by Emma and says, yep, me too. And here's the unique thing, in lane 3, we've also got Caroline Stanley. Now she's touch and go. This is going to be close between her and Danielle. They've got to have some urgency here. 5 reps, hands up for Danielle Brandon. Hands up for Caroline. 2 reps to go for Brandon. 1 rep. Oh, this was closer than I thought. Danielle by a hair, it looked like. Caroline right there with her. We are going to have to go to the tape to know exactly who finished there.
That was
Alexis
close.
Rapt is doing singles. Paige Semenza chipping away, but it's Erica Folo with only 2 repetitions left. Amanda Barhart in the stadium, moving the barbell like it's nothing, literally push pressing it, Scott,
looks like
from her shoulders.
Toy.
Oh my goodness. Talk about pacing. She's gonna have the ability to pass Raptis right here. She's only got 4 reps left. Raptis with 3 reps left, or 2 reps. I can't see the judge's hand. 1 rep for Raptis. Done for Barnhart. What an execution of pacing there for her. Raptis done. Wow.
That's incredible. And that's a perfect example because her and Fee went out the door at the same time, but Fee had to go all the way around the square.
That's right.
And she got to go right onto that barbell.
Fee on singles with 4 reps remaining for her. We've got Mary Helen Saunders out already. Shelby Neal to the barbell. Upper left. Chloe Gavon David, another athlete who we've seen many times, specifically on a team, now taking the individual shot for herself.
Fee Scoffy's done.
Fee across the finish line. Callista Lang, 3 to 4 reps in, but it's Shelby Neal with 1 rep left. Done at 24, oh, nope, she had 2 reps left. My bad, folks. At 24:08, she's done. Let the bodies hit the floor. Wow. Chloe Gavon David, done. Lane 1, still chipping away, is Elizabeth Wishart. Singles for Elizabeth. Annika Greer just entering the stadium. Followed closely, but will be following her to the barbell, Lexi Neely with their hands on the bar. She's gonna go singles here. Now this is where you consider pacing a little bit here. Caroline Prevost, 2 reps left, bottom of your screen, center, lane 13. Now the reason I started to bring up pacing is because Elena Savage, Scott, was one of the first athletes to the barbell in both of the first 2 rounds.
I remember.
Now she's got some tape on her shin. It looks like a little bit of almost a limp, and I don't know if that's something that she came into this event, whether you would assume.
Right. Well,
but it didn't look like to play a factor until the latter rounds.
Yeah, you know what's difficult is these guys have had so much time to do these specific workouts and movements that it's pretty easy to get an overuse injury from training these specific things over the course of the last 4 weeks.
Gosh, it's so true, man, and that's where the art of programming comes into it, right? Yes, it's a science, but it's also an art. You got to listen to your body. You got to know what works for you. We talked about maybe not doing these workouts all the way through. We talked about maybe doing intervals of them so you don't get that overexposure. And this is the beauty, Scott. This is why we have variants the way that we do in CrossFit. It protects you from stuff like this.
It does, and it's like a prescription, right? Everybody has a little bit of a different dosage that they can do. You think of running, so much mileage on the week. It's the same way with these guys. They got to figure out what is the right amount of fitness that allows me to do what I need to do.
That's right. And that was Elena Savage, came across just under 26 minutes, folks. What an absolute showdown. Heat number 2 was here for event number 1. We're at the Syndicate Crown North America East semifinals. This is the kickoff show. I'm Adrian Conway. Scott, thanks so much for joining me, man. These women put on a show. It was